Hello everybody and welcome to my first long form video on this channel. Now today I'm not doing a super detailed breakdown, this is just a 10-minute speed sculpt. I will be giving you a quick overview on how I really approach form, my mindset around anatomy, and how I really build up the face and its overall structure. The full breakdown is coming soon and I'm aiming for it to be at least an hour long, but also keep in mind that the original footage is around 5.5 hours long, so it's taking me a while to edit, but we'll get there. In the meantime, just enjoy this quick breakdown. Now, when I approach sculpting, my main mindset is to generate volume that's easy for my brain to understand and break down. Your job as a sculptor is not to create impossible obstacles for yourself. Now, I know that sounds simple when you just blurt it out like that, but at its core, it's genuinely how I work. I rely heavily specifically on the clay build-up tool because it lets me add form gradually and create volume in ways that feel human. And this really becomes more apparent when you're sculpting organic beings. If you've conceptualized a character, your goal is now to break it down slowly and efficiently, but not at the expense of your self-esteem and sanity. Please don't do that. And another thing to take notice when sculpting is to make sure your foundation is strong. And what I mean by that is when your mesh is low poly, or I guess low resolution, make sure the strong features stand out. You're really going to want to refine those important features whilst it's still in its low poly form, because you can't really change them when it's high poly, and even if you could change them, it won't really look that great. And something else you learn quick about me is I really like to hyperfocus on the eyes, especially the shape around the eyes. And that's because the eyes are usually the first thing you're going to see when you're looking at a model or a character or something like that. So I take my sweet time refining the eyes and the eyelids all the way to the lacrimal caruncle, which is like that meaty part on the inner eye section. And normally at this stage, I'd be really happy because I've created a general shape that somewhat resembles a human. And from here on, I can increase the poly count so I can furthermore add more details and refine the pre-existing ones. And that's what it's really all about. It's all about bringing it, giving it more form, and then refining that form into the shape that you have in mind. Now, I will say my anatomical knowledge isn't pristine, but it's enough to create at least what I think is a compelling result. And you'll be seeing that the shape is going to be still gradually changing as I haven't ramped up my poly count extremely high. It's I think at around 200,000 poly counts, which is what I'd say is the medium level, if there is like a medium level. If there was one, I would say that around 200,000 poly counts is enough to create some not hyper detailed features, but decent ones. Now, I will say, I forgot to say this before, but this is a female character, if you didn't already notice from the beginning. So keep in mind that for head shapes, different sexes would have different skull types. So, male skull type would probably have a more cut jawline. It would probably drop down more from the back. And then for a female one, it'd be more curved. Just take that into account. Now, mind you, this is not the case for every single character. Some feminine characters can have very masculine jawlines and even skull bones. It's all depending on the character that you're trying to make. I'm just saying this for for a base and default stance. But yeah, most of the time, feminine characters will have that more smooth, curved out type of skull. In this case, actually, the character I'm sculpting right now, she has more of I would say more of a masculine jawline, which is, a good example of what I was saying. But it is good to know those distinctions. I think they will help you out, later on. Don't see them as, restrictions. Just see them as, more like guidelines. And now, as you can see I have refined those details on my 200,000 to 300,000 poly count guideline, and now it's time for me to move it to at least 1 million poly counts to put in those really tiny refined details. And now at this stage, I'd be using a tool called the HD Polish tool along with the Dam Standard tool. Now these tools work in part. One creates slits and the other one polishes down on the mesh. Now I use these to essentially section off the protruding muscles in the face, like the masseter muscle and the buccinator muscle. So I use these just to really define where those muscles are placed on the face. Now I will say, forgive me if I am mispronouncing any of these anatomical parts. Like you know the muscles, but it's not like I'm always pronouncing them. I'm doing it for this video's sake. So give me some leeway there. Thank you. But to be quite honest, it is a decent practice to learn the names of these muscles. Now you don't have to know it like, you know, like a doctor or a med student or anything like that. I feel like when you know their name, even vaguely, you also subconsciously know where they're placed. And that can really help you for sculpting. And here you can see I'm really just refining and polishing on, you know, the pre-existing volume that I generated from before. You know, you just keep sort of refining and carving out of it until, you know, you get that shape that you want. And now for the hair. Oh boy. Honestly, this is just a long, tedious, but fun experience. I always like to fiddle and experiment with the hair. Believe it or not, some head shapes don't suit some hairstyles. Who could have guessed? Now, as for this character, she has shorter hair, which honestly I wouldn't normally go for with masculine faces, but I'm going for it with this one because I see a vision. You know, and you know what? There are women that can rock short hair who have masculine jawlines. Shame on me for making that generalization. And something else that you need to take into account as well is that hair also has layers, even short hair. So right now I'm creating the base layer for that hair. Could I pass as a hairstylist? Probably not, but this is how you do it. Also, feel absolutely free to, you know, look at references, you know, go on Pinterest, you know, go on Google and look at references because, you know, real life references specifically, I feel like they can really help you understand, you know, the form, first of all, you know, maybe if you see some unique features on an individual and you want to replicate that, yeah, feel free to do that. I feel like that's such a useful tool, you know, for sculptors that, you know, we should use a lot more. Also, if you're wondering what software I'm using, I am using ZBrush, which I'd say is the industry standard software that all the major artists probably use. However, Blender has an amazing sculpting platform, and I'd say it has the easier sculpting to render workflow. Like, you can do all of it on Blender, which just makes it, you know, so much easier to use overall. I think I'll actually do a Blender sculpting video one day just to show you how easy it can be to use as well. And I think Maya might have a sculpting tool as well, but I'm not quite sure. I have to just check that after. But there are other sculpting platforms as well, like Mudbox, which I think is Autodesk's main sculpting one. But I haven't tried that out before. I don't know how good it is as well. But I think at one point it was an industry grade sculpting software. I think most of them just use ZBrush or Blender right now. And from before, a lot of big artists also do use Blender, just to add on to that. And at this stage, I'd say I'm pretty happy with what the hair looks like. I shape it up a little bit, but overall, I think this is, you know, what I like at this point. And from here on out, now I just create a little, little torso bit. I just feel like it's a bit more presentable than just, a floating head and neck. So yeah. And also, please, if you're ever struggling with form, or you don't know, every muscle or every bit of cartilage, just take a look at a reference. Just look at a reference and you can vaguely create a shape that you can also refine later on. And at this stage, I just start adding in, details associated with the character. So this character is like a warrior, so I start adding in, like scars, battle scars. I even use the clay build-up tool, and I switch it to Z sub to remove volume. So I use that to create scars, battle scars. So the general idea is to just create basic shapes and then slowly refine them down, but you've got to make it easy for your brain to understand those shapes. Don't push it, especially if you're just starting out. Start out small and then refine it. And this is my character in the fully rendered flesh, if that's what you would call it. But yeah, thank you guys for tagging along with me for this, quick breakdown video on how I understand form. And stay tuned for the full breakdown video coming soon. And yeah, thank you guys, and I appreciate the support. Bye. Also, forgot to quickly add, if we could get to 50 followers on X and 200 followers on Insta by the end of February, that would be amazing. Thank you guys. Bye. And enjoy this condensed speed sculpt, and enjoy the piano music.